Ang programang ito ay hatid sa inyo ng Action Honda, where car ownership is made easy. Located at 4334 Kingston Road, Toronto, Ontario, Canada.
Come to Action Honda. Whether bibili ka o hindi, it's always a pleasure to talk sa kababayan. Mabuhay!
Great car deals in action. Your Filipino friends ready at your service. Test drive at Action Honda today.
Choosing to distinguish our strengths, our flukes, our weaknesses, and our individuality is the perfect gift we can give to the world. So, why don't we step into becoming the best version of ourselves? It doesn't matter what problems we are dealing, but the way we are dealing can significantly make a difference. The book intends to bring awareness to people on rediscovering themselves and aims to teach coping mechanisms to help them live a life without anxiety and depression. Based on the author's real-life story, the book will guide readers on the journey of understanding and rediscovering self and the freedom that comes with it. Grab your copies now.
This TV program is intended for educational and awareness purposes only and solely as a self-help tool for your own use. The information provided in or through this TV program is in no way intended to be a substitute for the professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment provided by your own medical provider or mental health provider. You agree and acknowledge that Joy Unleashed International TV hosts and guests are not providing medical advice, mental health advice, or religious advice in any way. Always seek the advice of your own medical provider and or mental health provider regarding any questions or concerns that you might have to pertain to your own mental health. From the author of the book Joy Unveiled, Unraveling the Key to Happiness, comes a radio show that talks about mental health awareness and balanced lifestyle that complements your goals and desires. Welcome to Healthy Mind, Healthy Heart, and You. Your Ate Ruth will simply provide the tools you need. Healthy Mind, Healthy Heart, and You.
Hello world, hello Canada, Quebec, Calgary, Vancouver, Saskatoon, and Winnipeg. Hello USA, bonjour, hola, hey, aloha, shalom, salam, buongiorno, guten tag, niyama, anyong, aloha, namaste, magandang araw, ug maayong adlaw kaninyong tanan. Welcome to Joy Unleashed Healthy Minds, Healthy Hearts, here at MCBN TV and Pinoy Radio, Toronto. This is your host and nagmamahal, Tita Ruth Teresa, broadcasting live po dito sa Toronto. Tonight, our topic is mental health and your diet. It's Sunday night, prime time, so sit back, relax, and chill. Oh my gosh, it's unbelievable that it's December already. It's the last month of 2021. And I would like to say happy birthday and shout out to all my friends out there. And special belated happy birthday to one of our MCB and Tapatan. Belated happy birthday nga pala, Philip Beloso. And happy retirement then, Philip. So, to all the known to be free-spirited, December born, we wish you happy December birthday. Let's start with Jose Bangaan, Ayusha Silar Upas from Cebu, Ray Mapeso of Toronto, and I think Ray, you're in Cebu right now, right? Andrew Bernard of Asamis, Adam Fuller of Mississauga, Ronnie Delagan of Toronto, Delia Levy Ubas from Texas, Grace Basile, and of course, hi, Bam. This is from LA. Jonathan Reynoso Salonga from Winnipeg. Rafael Fernandez Olehi. Hi, Rafi. Tracy Malolos de la Cruz of Scarborough. Bayani, our very own guest of our first episode, Bayani Lagas. Happy birthday. So happy birthday to Kay and Grayson in Mexico right now. And of course to Ike Allegres of New Jersey. Happy birthday, Ike. And a special shout out to those who can use some hugs and kisses. To Bongbong Soriano, get well soon. And all those in the hospital right now, we wish you well this Christmas season. So, eto na. Madugo din yung theme natin ngayon. It's mental health and your diet. The COVID-19 pandemic has had direct and indirect effects on people with chronic diseases. According to a survey done by Novo Nordisk Canada, Incorporated early on this year, here in Mississauga, almost 4 in 10 Canadians, that's 38% surveyed, who have been clinically diagnosed with a chronic disease say they are avoiding the healthcare system altogether during the pandemic in fear that they might catch the COVID-19. So now, while virtual healthcare and telemedicine is now a regular practice, it is still hard for people who are suffering from this life-changing illnesses to cope with the daily stresses and struggles in life. To name a few chronic diseases now includes neurologic or psychiatric conditions, diabetes, or effects on the heart, lungs, kidneys, or other organs. It is common to feel sad or discouraged after having a heart attack, receiving a cancer diagnosis, or when trying to manage a chronic condition such as pain. You may be facing new limits on what you can do and may feel stressed or concerned about treatment outcomes and what the future may bring. It may be hard to adapt to a new reality and to cope with the changes and ongoing treatment that come with the diagnosis. Favorite activities such as hiking or gardening or long walks, running, biking may be harder to do. Even choosing the right food to eat, preparing the meals, those are so challenging nowadays. So let me stream in our guest dietitian to discuss about mental health and nutrition. First, let me introduce Sheela. Sheela Kunishige, she's an MBA, Master's of Business Administration, HCM, Healthcare Management, Registered Dietitian, a licensed dietitian since 2004. She finished her BS Nutrition Sciences degree at University of Nevada, Las Vegas, and completed her master's MBA through Western Governors University. Sheela has served the Southern Nevada Dietetic Association as president for 3 years, as well as the Nevada Dietetic Association as annual meeting chairperson for 2 years. She has benefited her. Sheela is also a professional singer, songwriter, and in fact, her song "Sana Ngayong Pasko" is going to be played tonight. So recently, she released her debut single Sunday Morning, and if you were here last week or listening last week, this was played through at the end of our episode. She co-wrote this award-winning international songwriter and friend, Mr. Jimmy Borja. Her song is now available on iTunes, YouTube, Music, Spotify, and all other digital music platforms. Friends and viewers, let me stream in Ms. Sheela Kunishige.
Pasko na naman, ngunit wala ka pa. Hanggang kailan kaya ako maghihintay sa iyo? Bakit ba naman
Ladies and gentlemen, friends and
wala nang
audience,
minsan pa
Please welcome in person the one and only Sheela Kunishige, direct from Vegas, USA.
Hi, everyone. Hi, Tita Ruth. Good morning in some parts of the world. Good afternoon. Good evening. My name is Sheela Kunishige, and I'm so glad to be here. How are you, Tita Ruth?
Oh my gosh, I am fine. We are 1 degree here, and as you told me, it's 40 degrees in Vegas.
Yes.
Wow, we're snowing here right now, and you're in the heat out there. My
Well,
gosh.
it's not so much hot for us because it's a desert, so it's a different kind of cold. We might not have the snow that you have, but it's still cold.
Oh my goodness, I still wish I'm in Vegas now. So, how's this trip at the moment? Is it operating? How's it out there with the
It
pandemic
is.
going on?
It is actually. You'd be surprised. People are more out there. I've been invited to a lot of social events, but I'm very choosy because we do have a new strain and probably a third wave. In some countries, there's a third wave. So I believe in still being conservative.
Third wave. We're already in the fourth wave here. In fact, there's another variant that's coming in. That's why, oh my gosh, our mental health is at heightened at the moment because of this. Come and go, open the borders, close the borders, and all the restrictions about how many people you can have indoors
Right.
and where to go. I think it's. I'm not quite sure if it's the same as because Vegas. It's big, right? And all the casinos are there. Gee whiz.
Yes, they do enforce the usual, wearing a mask. I don't know about the social distancing though. That's
Mm.
very hard to mitigate.
But oh, by the way, I really would like to congratulate you. So when I heard your song Sunday morning, I was actually awed by it. Oh my God, the voice, and the lyrics and everything. But it's not just that. When I researched you, what caught my attention was dietitian. I gotta get this girl because I need to know, and I need to know about what dietitian do, what they have, and I know they play a very important role in the healthcare system. So Sheila, tell me about what your profession.
Yes. So I have been a registered dietitian, licensed dietitian in Nevada because some states don't have licensure. So in Nevada, I'm a licensed dietitian for almost 20 years. And a dietitian is the expert in nutrition because, Tita Ruth, anyone can call themselves a nutritionist, but not everyone has the rigorous training, education and training that a dietitian goes through. So, for example, a dietitian goes through a Bachelor of Science degree and learn all about, biochemistry and nutrition and disease metabolism and all that good stuff. And after that, a dietitian has, or a dietetic student after the graduation, the 4 year degree has to apply for an internship. And it's supervised and didactic. So it's supervised by other dietitians. So that alone is great training because you're hands on with dietitians that will co sign your notes and supervise you. And when I say co-sign your notes, you get to assess patients as you are an intern. So after the internship, you have to take a break and review for the board exam. So there is a board exam. It took 6 months for me to review. It's a great amount of time because it's very comprehensive. So after the board exam, you now get your credential as a registered dietitian. Okay.
So, I wanted to know the difference between the dietitian and nutritionist since you mentioned it.
Okay, Tita Ruth. So that's a good question because, like I said earlier, anyone can call themselves a nutritionist. A lot of times, even when they don't have the 4 year degree, they may call themselves a nutritionist. Like they may be selling some supplements or working at the gym, and not to, no offense to you guys who are doing that, but the registered dietitian, like I said, has the background, the education, the training, and we work with the most vulnerable patients in different aspects. So I myself intended to really immerse myself in different avenues of nutrition and dietetics so that I get the experience and I help different people. For example, I've worked in the clinical setting for most of my career, the hospital, long-term acute care, skilled nursing facility, rehabs. But I've also worked in a corporation where I was the only clinician, and I was the health and wellness manager for the whole corporation. I've also worked in your hospice care or even like end-stage renal disease on dialysis for people that are on dialysis treatments in the clinic. And also diabetes patients I've worked with. I built a whole outpatient self-management diabetes education program at one of the hospitals.
Okay, so that clears that. So anyhow, I'll be back with you. Commercial muna tayo. Let's have a break first, and I'll be back with more
Sounds
questions for you.
good. Thank you.
Are you looking for a place to live stream your next virtual event? MCBN Broadcast Center can help you explore the world of online events. We offer a mid-sized green screen room to accommodate your next virtual events, equipped with state-of-the-art broadcast equipment and high-speed fiber internet. Experience a secure and uninterrupted live broadcast during the live stream. MCBN Broadcast Center also offers rental with our own broadcast facility for radio and TV, live streaming programs, and provides you with programming assistance. All these at a reasonable price. Located at 7894 Daffrin Street, Vaughan, Ontario, along Daffrin Street and 407. Give us a call at 905-781-6165 or email us at mcbngroup@gmail.com to book a tour. Good news for Tagalog-speaking job hunters with good English. Ideal Talents Staffing Solutions is in need of general labor, assembly and packing, shipper, receiver, forklift operator, office plant cleaners, and warehouse cleaners. The said jobs is available in the following areas: Milton, Mississauga, Brampton, Bolton, Barrie, Vaughan, and Scarborough. Get paid weekly. No resume required, no experience required, and it will be just a quick telephone interview. Interested applicants may visit the website idealtalents.ca or call 647-467-5356 or 647-460-5508. Ideal Talents Staffing Solutions. Apply today. Work tomorrow. From the eye clinic that introduces unique, funky, and fashionable eyewear, 7 taon na ang nakakaraan, continues to deliver. Sunny Optical is the one. Patuloy at tuloy-tuloy ang alagang makabayan, serbisyong Canadian. If you're looking for the distinctive, innovative, and coveted frames and sunglasses, Sunny Optical now serves our patrons much better. At dahil may Pinoy optometrist and optician that can speak Tagalog, alam namin ang pangangailangan nyo. 2 locations, 1 vision. They accept direct billing with insurance companies. In Ontario, we are located at First Markham Place, 3255 Highway 7 East, Unit 166. In Thornhill, we are at 1 Promenade Circle, Y007 at T&T Supermarket entrance. Kita-kita na lang kabayan at Sunny Optical. Feel free to contact us, 905-7311-999.
Choosing to distinguish our strengths, our flukes, our weaknesses, and our individuality is the perfect gift we can give to the world. So, why don't we step into becoming the best version of ourselves? It doesn't matter what problems we are dealing, but the way we are dealing can significantly make a difference. The book intends to bring awareness to people on rediscovering themselves and aims to teach coping mechanisms to help them live a life without anxiety and depression. Based on the author's real-life story, the book will guide readers on the journey of understanding and rediscovering self and the freedom that comes with it. Grab your copies now.
We're back. So now, Sheila, correct me if I'm wrong, but this is my assumption of what you guys do, part of it. So now, if I have a medical ailment or a chronic illness, and then I have like this, I go to the lab and have my blood works done, and I come out like that. I have diabetes or pre-diabetic or a kidney infection or kidney whatever. So I would take that to you. And what do you do as a dietitian or a nutritionist? What do you do?
Okay, so first of all, Tita, your assumption is partly true, but not all dietitians have an office or a clinic. It's called private practice, where the patients could come and say, I want you to educate me, on my diet or new diagnosis. So a lot of times dietitians work with the healthcare team. For the clinical dietitians like myself, we work with the healthcare team. So we're an integral part of the healthcare team in the hospitals or the dialysis clinic, like I mentioned earlier. So it's not necessarily the patients going to the dietitian. Sometimes it happens if the dietitian has a private practice or a private clinic. But a lot of times we see different patients, like you said, with chronic illnesses, whether we're seeing them acutely in the hospital or we're seeing them chronically in a dialysis clinic, because those people have a schedule where they go and get their dialysis treatment Monday, Wednesday, Friday, or Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday. So in my experience, I have done that. You connect with your patients, you establish rapport. So it's not simply like, here are my labs or here's my diagnosis, educate me. There's a relationship that happens. There's a between the professional, which is the dietitian, and the patient. There has to be a relationship, a rapport that needs to be established, because obviously, just like with anything, with any relationship, the trust needs to be established or earned, right? Because would you go to
Mm-hmm.
someone that you don't trust or you don't know, Tita Ruth? Would you go to them for advice? No, right? So in my case, I'm just going to use the dialysis clinic because I have met and I have worked with the most vulnerable patients in the dialysis setting. So it all starts with something like they have a diagnosis of diabetes, and diabetes happens to be the number one cause for kidney failure, hypertension being number two, or high blood pressure. So a lot of times the disease processes that they have, the chronic illnesses that they have, are manageable across the life cycle, right? From pregnancy to infancy to adulthood and so on, elderly, all the way to end of life, like I mentioned to you earlier, hospice. So the patients in dialysis, a lot of times, I know you're not asking me about the challenges yet, but what we do as dietitians is, you're right. That's why I said it's partly true that dietitians look at labs and educate the patient. So dialysis is the great example. When you have end stage renal disease, you pretty much have to manage different minerals or electrolytes that affect your kidneys and your heart, because your kidneys are no longer working. So do you know, Tita Ruth, that the dialysis machine is what acts as like your kidney when you don't have a functioning kidney anymore?
Yes.
Well, the problem with that is a lot of times patients, especially patients, when they first hear that they have end stage renal disease and they require dialysis, they're in denial mode, Tita Ruth. And that's where the mental health comes in too. They're in denial. They ask themselves, why me? What did I ever do? Lord, why me? Things like that, right? So it's a process where we have to explain to them. It takes a team, the doctor, which is a nephrologist. That's a special, he specializes in kidney disease. Nephrologist. There's a nurse. There's a patient care technician that actually performs the dialysis treatment. And of course, there's the dietitian and a social worker. So it takes a whole team. But the dietitian's role then is to get to know the patient, their lifestyle, their eating habits, their diagnosis. Where did that come from? So like I said, a lot of times it comes from diabetes. It's a major chronic complication of diabetes, unmanaged diabetes. So when you're not paying attention to your eating habits, your lifestyle, even though diabetes is an autoimmune disease for the most part, right? But it's manageable through lifestyle. So they come to, it's very sad, Tita Ruth, that they come to like this end of the road kind of thing for them, that they need dialysis. But it's not a bad thing to be on dialysis, because like I said, the machine acts like your kidney. Okay, so it's not a bad thing. It's very
OMG. I was just, as you were talking about it, I was just thinking of all the food, my kakini, my desserts. We love our food.
well.
We have a lot of carbs in our food, our rice, and
Yes, yes,
then a lot of sticky rice. Oh my gosh, I was just thinking, imagine if you have this chronic illness and it's a lifestyle change.
it
And
is.
that
It
is
is.
that requires discipline. You
Yes,
know what I mean?
yes, and if I may continue a little bit about the diet part, so the usual stuff, like you said, yung mga usual stuff, desserts or adobo or salty stuff that we normally eat as Filipinos, or not just Filipinos, just people, um, unfortunately, they will have to adjust their mindset. So it's a paradigm shift. They need to first learn to accept their diagnosis and learn to work with us, have an open mind and say, and it's not as easy as we are saying it. Kasi hindi tayo yung patient. We're not the patient. For the patient, it's very overwhelming, right? But that's what we're here for as health professionals. For example, so sodium is in a lot of food, right? Salt. So people have a misconception if they do the pink salt versus the rock salt that they're better off. No, they're all the same. They're all salt. So sodium is one of the things that we watch when we have kidney failure. Potassium, which manages the muscles, including the heart. So do you
Yes.
know, Teacher Ruth, that if you have too much potassium when you're on dialysis, when you have kidney failure, that it can actually stop your heartbeat? Okay. Calcium and phosphorus. So calcium and phosphorus. Calcium is in milk and a lot of different dairy products. Phosphorus is in mostly everything, and people don't know that, but it's actually naturally occurring in like beef, red meat, nuts, which are usually good for you, right? But when you have
Mm-hmm.
kidney failure, it's no longer. It's different. But phosphorus is also in your soda, your dark soda, your cola. Phosphorus is also in your fast food and your anything that's been processed. Okay, so because they use phosphate as a preservative or additive, when you see the word phos in a food
Yes.
product on a label, it's not good when you have kidney failure, because phosphorus and calcium, they both calcify the veins, which may cause heart attack or stroke. So these are the very kind of overwhelming information, but these are the information that patients and their families need to know from a dietitian like me. Because, like you said earlier, we had a chat before. You asked me, is it true, Sheila, that what you eat is what you are? Yes, Teacher Ruth.
Yes.
It's very true.
Very true.
Yes.
I
Yeah.
agree on that because
So,
that is really a part of what the people have a misconception.
yes.
So the food is really very important, especially for those. Before I used to work downtown, and when I used to eat a lot of fast food, and that really destroyed my metabolism. And this is how I got to know the importance of nutrition. Like,
Yes.
yeah, and the food intake, what we eat makes us what we are.
Yes.
It like, it affects our mental faculties. It affects everything, the way we think and the way we even our physicality, that really affects it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, the leaky gut, you feel bloated.
Yes.
And
Yes.
then, everything is in the food, and
Yes.
exercise, of course.
Yes. So, because of diabetes is very rampant, and that's globally, right? But
Mm-hmm.
diabetes is also very rampant in the Asian community. Filipinos, especially, we are really at risk, at greater risk because of our ethnicity for diabetes. African Americans, Latinos, Asians. So the misconception about diabetes is I ate too much sugar in my life. That's why I got diabetes. But that's not the truth. That's not the truth. So diabetes is when your pancreas stops making insulin, or it makes insulin, but the body doesn't use it well. And insulin is the hormone that breaks down, help metabolize carbohydrates into glucose, and not just carbohydrate. It actually all foods turn into sugar, Tita Ruth. Our main nutrients, carbohydrates, protein, and fats, they all turn into blood glucose, right? But carbohydrates is the one that impacts our blood sugar readily because it turns into blood sugar within 1 to 2 hours of eating.
Mm-hmm.
So, and you probably know what carbs are, like, right, Tita Ruth? You mentioned some earlier.
This, the good thing with this show that we have is really educated. I'm being educated by you. So right now, as we speak, I'm talking about, this is a life sentence for me. Everything that she's talking
Oh
about, it's like,
no.
oh, my
Okay.
favorite food.
No, I don't really want you. See, that's why I introduced this conversation, this topic,
Yes.
because now we're talking about mental health. I don't
Uh-huh.
really want the patients, like even when I was a dialysis or a nephrology dietitian, to be scared and say, here comes the food police. Okay, I don't want that. What I want is a relationship where they trust me, they can trust me and tell me what they actually eat. For example, when I go around and do my monthly rounds with their laboratory results, like you were saying, whether it's the blood glucose when they have diabetes plus the kidney failure, or because some of them don't have diabetes, it's from something else, right? They have kidney failure from hypertension, but still, it has something to do with food and lifestyle. So when I go around and say, Mr. So and so, Mr. Cruz, for example, these are your lab results for the month. You have your blood glucose here, your phosphorus, your calcium, your sodium, your potassium. If you didn't earn their trust, and if you didn't establish that relationship where they can trust you with your knowledge, your expertise, they're not going to open up to you and say, you know what, Sheila, I know why my potassium is high. And I've thankfully for me, they've trusted me. So they would say, I've been eating a lot of potatoes or tomatoes or oranges. And so we come up with a plan after that when they tell me, when they're honest with me and say, eto yung mga kinain ko. this, this is what I've eaten in the last, few days before my laboratory test, right? Or for phosphorus, for example, I mentioned earlier that phosphorus is in soda, dark cola, right? Tita Ruth, Coke or Pepsi,
Guilty.
right? So they
Yes.
would tell me that. They would say, you know what, Sheila, I think my phosphorus is high because guess what, Sheila? I've had like a couple of sodas over the weekend. So you don't get that honesty though if you don't establish that relationship. And again, it takes working with them mentally from a psychological standpoint, because you can't force anyone to change, right, Tita Ruth?
Yes,
Yes,
exactly. Especially when it comes to food, it's really hard.
right.
I've seen that in a lot of people. And me, I had like, I have to change my diet as well. So, oh my goodness, curtailing, like limiting that is very hard. So, what is it? Is it what do you do? Is it like you measure the food intake, or is it the amount, like a mixture of all that? Like,
Okay.
it's hard, I'm coming from just like a patient, like I'm at home and I'm listening to you, and I'm like thinking a lot of things in my thoughts, like, oh my gosh, so what now? Do I have to balance my food intake and eat like on time, or how do you do this?
Yeah.
Explain to me, what's the process?
Yes. So we're gonna put aside the chronic illness because it's much
Mm-hmm.
different, right? Because they have
Mm-hmm.
so many restrictions. We're gonna look at it as a regular person, like you said, maybe you,
Mm-hmm.
like you're wanting some advice from me. So it's all about moderation. I'm sure you've
Mm-hmm.
heard this before. Moderation is key, and we have to treat our food with respect, meaning our bodies, because what we eat is what we are. So we have to respect our bodies and not overdo anything. We're not going to overeat sugary stuff. We're not going to, drink like tons of sodas, because those are bad for us, the sugar, the acid, the sodium, the salt, all that stuff. So we're going to be mindful. That's the word I want to use. We're going to be mindful and
Yes.
say, what are the healthy foods that I like to eat? Because some people might not like the healthy food. I'm not going to force them, being a realistic dietitian. So, for example, meron kang favorite. You have a favorite food that you cannot live without, like ice cream, right? I love ice cream myself. Okay, we we can incorporate ice cream, your favorite food, into your daily diet. Or I don't really want to call it a diet, but it's healthy eating, right? We may
Yes.
incorporate, because people have a misconception about diet means starving yourself or not eating on time, like you were saying. So we may incorporate the fun foods, I call them, cake, ice cream, desserts, sometimes chips, 20% of the time. But 80% of the time, Teacher Ruth, we have to be mindful of what to eat. The ones that give us nutrition, vitamins and minerals, not just calories. There's empty calories, meaning they're high in calories, but they don't give you other nutrients that are good for your body. Those are called empty calories. Now you have the foods that are called nutrient dense because they're full of nutrients, like not just protein or healthy fats or healthy carbohydrates. They have vitamins, they have minerals, vitamin C, iron, things like that, right? So, and to answer your other question or comment, to add to that, you're right. We have to establish a schedule, because your metabolism gets confused if we're skipping meals, we're doing
Mm-hmm.
fasting, and all of a sudden, what happens when you skip a meal or when you fast, Teacher Ruth? What do you think happens? What do you think
Well,
happens?
my sugar drops when I fast,
Yes,
first of
yes,
all.
yes. Plus, you get so hungry, you tend to overeat at your next meal, right?
Yes.
So it defeats the purpose of trying to fast, or trying to really tell yourself, like, parang pinipigilan mo yung sarili mo, like, I'm not gonna eat that, I'm not gonna eat for 8 hours. But then again, after 8 hours, you get so hungry, you overeat. So it doesn't really benefit you.
Exactly. Parang mental na rin yan eh. You know, you have this thing that you wanna do something, but it's really not healthy. So parang toxic na rin sa body mo. So I feel that, because I have been there. I was like, oh my goodness. So I try to change the way I eat by like actually stopping or not or stopping and not eating the favorite food I have, but it's very hard. So I figured out a way that, it's self-awareness,
Yes,
we read and stuff
yes.
like that and figure out exactly now that's impossible. So I can just go from being a meat eater to vegan, or vegetarian. I was like, that
That's
doesn't
a
make
good
sense to me. It's
comment.
even toxic. What
That's
do
a
you
good
say
comment.
about that?
Yes, that's a good comment, because I have some advice. So change is not it's not overnight, right? Nothing
Mm-hmm.
happens overnight. So we have to take baby steps. So as far as because it's a mental health show and topic, we're going to focus on that right now. So we need empowerment, right? The willpower, like you were saying, we need to work on our willpower. We have to listen to our body. If we're full, we need to stop eating, okay? If we're not so hungry, we need to stop eat. We don't need to eat as well. We can wait. But we may snack in between, but unhealthy foods like fruits or vegetables, right? So I'm not saying like eat carrot sticks all the time, but if you want, because carrots are healthy, if you want to keep your metabolism going, and not feel hungry and not overeat, you may snack in between. In fact, 4 to 6 times a day of meals is good, but they're smaller and they're better. So
Yes.
going back to the yes, and going back to the mental health, we need to learn to, like you said, self-awareness. We need to learn our own bodies. What can we tolerate versus what we can't. Sometimes people don't know that they have food allergies because they haven't been to the doctor to get tested, and they feel bloated or they feel itchy, and they're just not comfortable. They don't know where this is coming from. So things like that. And as far as chronic illnesses, going back kind of to chronic illnesses, there's a lot of denial when they first get diagnosed. It's hard to accept. But then at the same time, we really have to help ourselves get the resources that we need to learn to accept the diagnosis and deal with it as far as in a good way. You know, um, Deal with it meaning managing it with lifestyle changes. It's not just nutrition. Health is holistic, Tita Ruth. I know you know this because you're a life coach and a mental health professional.
Yeah, it was about everything. Holistic is about everything. It's about
Yeah.
functional. It's about how it functions in your body, like how everything works together and it's connected.
Yes. So health is holistic. It's not just physical, it's mental, it's spiritual, it's social, emotional, even financial.
Yes,
So,
everything as a whole, it's interconnected.
so
We
yes,
are everything, every cellular in our body is connected to who
yes,
we
absolutely.
are. Yeah, for everything. So it makes us whole. That's holistic.
Yes, it's holistic. And other advices I can give, because it's not easy. It's not easy. Like I said, go to your doctor, please. A lot of people tend to say, I don't feel anything, I don't have symptoms, I don't need to see the doctor. That's not true, because if you don't see your doctor, then and just depend on what you're feeling, then you don't know what's going on, because a lot of these diseases, as you probably know, are silent killers. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
so diabetes is one of those silent killers. You may not know that your blood sugar is already 600, okay, because you may not feel that, but hypoglycemia, the other end of it, the other spectrum of the other end of the spectrum, hypoglycemia, that's when your blood sugar drops. You feel that because you'll feel dizzy, disoriented, confused, weak. But high blood sugar, a lot of times people don't feel it until they
They're breach.
collapse. They're
Mm-hmm.
faint. They faint, and they're in the emergency room, and then their blood sugar gets checked, and lo and behold, it's 600. So please go to the doctor. Um, Obviously, if the doctor says to you, you have a new diagnosis of diabetes or anything that requires nutrition education, please also see your dietitian like me. There are outpatient dietitians. Yun yung mga sinasabi mo, Tita Ruth, that you may go to like their clinic or you may go and see them outpatient wise. And during the pandemic, we can even do virtual,
Yes.
telemedicine or like this. I could educate you or somebody like me in your area, dietitian, registered dietitian like me. Please don't Google, yourselves on your own because a
Mr. Google, guilty na naman.
because a lot of times there's not credible information if you don't know what resource or what source it's coming from, if it's not peer reviewed or if it's not coming from medical professionals like us. Okay, so please don't Google and don't self-diagnose and say this is what I'm feeling. I'm just going to type it. I'm an intelligent person. I'm just going to type in my symptoms. Well, the thing is, Tita Ruth, you may be intelligent in another aspect, right? You may be financially intelligent, like maybe your business acumen is way up there. You're a business person or you're a financial person or what else. It could be anything. You may be an expert on something else, but you are not the expert on health. And health, I'm not saying that to put the healthcare professionals on a pedestal. I'm actually saying that for your own sake, for the patient's sake or the client's sake, because you might be blindsided, but what your family or your friends are saying, they have their own opinion, right, Tita Ruth?
Yes, and we all have our opinions. It's just a matter of who's credible, you
Yes,
know. And we all listen to each other. It's like, okay, what is, and your style or your intake is different from mine because my body is different.
absolutely. I like
So,
that. I
you
like that.
know,
Yes, yes. I'm
yeah.
going to build up on your comment right now. So we as dietitians, we do individualized, customized nutrition education for patients and clients. We don't pigeonhole everyone. Not everyone fits in that one hole, right? Pigeonhole. So we look at you as a person. We look at your, like we said, holistically. We
Mm-hmm.
look at your physical activity. We look at your stress. What kinds of stresses do you have in your life? What are you dealing with in life? Are you a single mom? Are you struggling financially? Are you overworking yourself? Are you skipping your meals? Are you hard up with financial resources to get healthy foods, things like that? And we work with other professionals, like a social worker, for example, to refer you, to say there are resources out there. There's like, food pantries or, groceries here or there, especially during the pandemic, Tita Ruth. It's been challenging overall, right?
Mm-hmm.
So,
And there's also one way I actually learned during the pandemic is, I would order food from, I'm not promoting it, but it's like I order from Chef Plate or Good Food or Hello Fresh, it's already prepared. I know what the veggies are and everything, like the carbohydrates that's in there, the meat. So I have at least I know what I'm taking and what I'm eating. That is the privilege of knowing what you are ordering and
there you
what you're getting. Because if I go to the grocery, the tendency is I just go to, especially Costco. I just go like, go there, there, there. Although it's very expensive, I still, when I come home, that's when I read all the labels. I'm like, oh my
Very good.
gosh.
Very good. I like to hear that. I like to hear that, Tita Ruth. You have to actually empower yourself, educate yourself. Knowledge is power, right? So, to your point, Tita Ruth, that's what we teach our patients and our clients. We're not hand holding them the whole time.
Hmm.
We have to teach them. It's called self management because you are the driver. You, as the patient and the client, are the driver of your own health. No one could drive this ship for you or this car for you but yourself. Even if your doctor, your dietitian, your nurse, your wife, your friends, yes, help you and
Hmm.
tell you, that's a great thing. You have a support system, but you are the ultimate driver of your self, your health care. So it's called self care, health care, right?
Yes, and it's
Because
part of
yes,
self care, self compassion.
yes,
Be kind
yes,
to yourself. That
be kind to
includes
yourself.
food. But the one thing also that I forgot to mention to you is eating mindfully, and taking the time to eat, to savor the taste of what you eat.
Absolutely.
That is the secret. Because instead of indulging yourself and eating just, well, when you taste it and you feel the texture, the actual taste, you enjoy it more. And when you enjoy it more, the lesser the intake is, because now you are talking about enjoying those moments and the savor, the taste of the food that you're
You
eating.
are so right, Tita Ruth. So, like I said earlier, we respect our food, and our food will respect us back. Because to your point, Tita Ruth, food is very cultural. It's the one thing aside from music, right? You may agree that
Mm-hmm.
brings people together, right? Whether you're
Mm-hmm.
whatever ethnicity, race, whatever background you have, when it comes to food, we could agree on something. We could come together. So, to your point, it's also spiritual when you're eating your food and taking your time and savoring it. It's also emotional. As far as this brings back a memory when when you're eating, right? When you're eating something and the smell, the taste, the visual presentation will bring you back to a great memory. Oh, our first date, or I don't know, our
Yeah.
wedding, something,
It's
or
just
when we
that
traveled to Italy.
it's
You
just
know,
using all your senses. The most important is using all those five
absolutely,
senses when you eat,
absolutely, Tita
when
Ruth.
you do things, and
Oh,
that's
you're a
being
foodie like
mindful. Yeah.
you're a foodie like me. I could tell.
Like last night, oh my gosh, I was craving for Kentucky Fried Chicken. I'm like,
That's
okay, I
okay.
really want it.
That's
So,
okay. 20.
I mean, yeah, so I ordered one, but I only eat one piece because I know that, I have that cravings too. And, I eat that sometimes. I don't eat that very often.
There you go. That's
So,
it. Yes. Moderation, like
yes.
I said, and 20% healthy. People might think like that's hard to do, Sheila. How are we going to measure like 80% healthy and 20% fun foods? Well, that's part of educating yourself and being mindful. And it's not so much measuring, but before you know it, you're mindful. Like, okay, I'm not
Hmm.
going to eat 3 cups of rice at one meal. I'm just going to eat 1/3 cup or 1/2 cup, like Sheila said, to manage maybe my pre-diabetes. You might not have the diabetes yet, but you're at risk for it because it runs in the family, and you feel different when you overeat like carbohydrates. So that's part of it. Be mindful and write things down and say, let me write down what I usually eat and let me reflect. Is this healthy overall? So if you find that it's not, then make a change. And
Yes.
again, seek the help of your registered dietitian.
And oh my gosh, thank you so much. In moderation, ladies and gentlemen. So, to cap it as well, I was just thinking, no more Anli. You know that unlimited
Oh
rice?
yes. So
Anli.
you know what, Tita Ruth, that's so funny because I haven't been to the Philippines for 26 years. I haven't visited, but I do reconnect, especially with the pandemic. I reconnected with friends and some distant relatives, and I learned that term unli, right? And I said, "What is unli? UNLI?" And lo and behold, it means unlimited.
That's what when I went home to the Philippines, and my husband, he's so Canadian. He went there. Ruth, what is that pail that the guy's taking, and what is the word Anli? But I didn't know what that one as well. So like I didn't know it. Like at that time, what is Anli and what is that pail that he's carrying? And then he came to us and said unlimited rice. I was like, oh my gosh, it's really unlimited rice only in
And
the Philippines.
yes, only in the Philippines. But guess what? Vegas is buffet haven, right? You probably know this.
And
In,
extra size,
in Las
extra
Vegas,
size
well, that's just
meals.
America in general. I'm not going to talk about Canada. You may speak for Canada yourself, but you're right. America is known to supersize everything, which is really sad. But that's why we're here. Dietitians like me, we actually work with um, law lawmakers. We work with them to
Mm-hmm.
establish some limits, some laws. For example, it's a law here that you have to divulge as a restaurant or when you're selling food, you have to divulge the nutritional information
Yes.
on the label. Okay,
Yes.
so we have come a long way in this area as far as working with lawmakers or being the lawmakers ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of dietitians, Sita Ruth, have their not only the master's degree, but higher education or other
Mm-hmm.
other education like PhD, like in psychology, because again,
Mm-hmm.
it takes
Yes.
mental, the mental aspect of it to make a change or to even just be
Lifestyle
realistic in
changes.
life.
Yes.
And there are dietitians that pursued law as well, and they're impacting the law, the bills,
Mhm.
as far as making the nation healthier. Some
Yes.
countries, I'm proud of the nations or the other nations that actually they're against supersizing, they're against using preservatives. Japan is one of them. They don't use preservatives in Japan, Tita Ruth.
Ajinomoto.
Yes, they
John
actually
of the
use that.
MSG.
They don't use that. Although in the past they may have, I don't really know the background to it. It's Japanese, but they may have
Yes.
invented it. But guess what? They're not using it in their
Yes.
restaurants. It's a personal thing if
Yes.
you want to use, but in their restaurants they don't use it in their public, food distribution places. And France
Hmm.
is another country that they don't like to waste food. Right? It's a law. You're not supposed to waste food,
Yes.
so no supersizing.
Now, Sheila, we can talk for as long as we can, but we
Yes.
only have an hour. So I would really invite you again to talk more about
Sure.
nutrition. This is not enough. We have so much, to talk about and still, and it's really very interesting. I really thank you to be on board in this. I really thank you from all of us here. This is so educational, and I know having fun as well. When we're talking about it, learning so much, it's something when you take it in from a professional. So, ladies and gentlemen, just remember what you said. That's a lot, but you can always watch this again on YouTube. We're on YouTube. And of course, MCBN TV, we are there as well. So don't forget to watch us. And yes, of course, we will talk about our next date. Is that okay?
Absolutely. Thanks so much for having me. I love it. Like you said, we can go on because nutrition is just, so broad. But I'm happy to come back and we can stick on a topic that maybe our viewers
Mhm.
would love to hear about.
I think it's food labeling and meal prepping because that's usually the challenges we have meal prepping.
Sure.
Yes. So while I will see you after the new year, because I'm pretty sure a lot of us will be eating and will be indulging in this Christmas, a lot of turkey, a lot of ham, lechon,
And that's
and
fine. This is
everything.
20%. This is the 20% that I was talking about. It's fine to enjoy.
Yes. Enjoy the moments and we'll take care of ourselves again in January. No, that's no part of it is every day you still have to be accountable of what you eat. So in moderation is what Sheila is saying.
Absolutely. Merry Christmas.
Okay.
Maligayang Pasko to the ones that don't celebrate Christmas. Happy holidays. I'm so
Yes,
glad.
thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sheila. And until 2022, happy New Year. And to your family, Merry Christmas. All my love.
Happy New
Okay.
Year. Thank you so much. I
Thank you.
appreciate you inviting me here.
Yes. So we only have 5 minutes, mga kaibigan. Thank you so much. That was Sheila, and I really enjoyed the conversation we have, and I hope you did as well. So our guest and featured artist tonight is actually the group named Suyo. Kim, Mick, and Sam. They're young, beautiful, energetic trio diva young girls group known for their poignant voices and powerful harmonies, and it hails from Vini Satorno and Viva Records. Vini Satorno is a famous composer in the Philippines. Congratulations, Vini, for winning the most prestigious awards out there, most influential person in the Philippines among the 20, I bet. Now, back to this group. Now, these young, amazing, and talented singers debuted last 2018. So today, ladies and gentlemen, Joy Unleashed, Healthy Hearts and Mind present Dalangin sa Pasko with group Suyo.
Isa ang hiling sa Paskong darating. Sana ay sambitin na ako'y mahal rin. Kung ilang Pasko na naghintay, ba't pag-ibig mo'y iaalay sa puso ko habang buhay. Kahit lagi kang kasama, kausap, kapiling, ang Pasko ay parang kulang kung di ka sa akin. Bakit ba di ba sabihin ako ay mahal mo rin? Yan ang tangi kong dalangin sa Paskong darating. Iisa ang dasal sa Paskong darating. Pag-ibig na tapat, sana ay maganap. Kung ilang Pasko ang naranasan, pag-ibig mo inaisa sa akin na Pasko ay ikaw. Kahit lagi kang kasama, kausap, kapiling, ang Pasko ay parang kulang kung di ka sa akin. Bakit ba di ba sabihin ako ay mahal mo rin? Yan ang tangi kong dalangin sa Paskong darating. Sa Paskong darating, sana ay sanggitin na ako'y mahalin. Kung ilang Pasko na naghintay, pag-ibig mo'y inaalay sa puso ko habang buhay. Kung ilang Pasko na naghintay, pag-ibig mo'y inaalay sa puso ko habang buhay.
Ladies and gentlemen, that was Suyo. Thank you, Vinnie Saturno, for making us use this platform to debut the song, Dalangin sa Pasko. Anyhow, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for tuning in tonight. Hanggang sa muli. This is your host, Tita Ruth Teresa, broadcasting live from MCBN TV, Toronto, Canada. Good morning, good evening. Thank you.
Ang programang ito ay hatid sa inyo ng Action Honda, where car ownership is made easy. Located at 4334 Kingston Road, Toronto, Ontario, Canada.
Come to Action Honda. Whether bibili ka o hindi, it's always a pleasure to talk sa kababayan. Mabuhay!
Great car deals in action. Your Filipino friends ready at your service. Test drive at Action Honda today.
World Remit helped me give you the best start in life, even if I couldn't be there to see it. I know it wasn't easy comparing yourself to your friends, but the money I sent home meant that you could be right there alongside them today. I'm so proud to be your mother, almost as proud as you must be, now that you're starting an incredible new chapter.
Good news for Tagalog-speaking job hunters with good English. Ideal Talents Staffing Solutions is in need of general labor, assembly and packing, shipper, receiver, forklift operator, office plant cleaners, and warehouse cleaners. The said jobs is available in the following areas: Milton, Mississauga, Brampton, Bolton, Barrie, Vaughan, and Scarborough. Get paid weekly. No resume required, no experience required, and it will be just a quick telephone interview. Interested applicants may visit the website idealtalents.ca or call 647-467-5356 or 647-460-5508. Ideal Talents Staffing Solutions. Apply today. Work tomorrow.